Hi, third graders. Continuing our third day with personification. And what we'll do today is write with personification. So, just like we did with similes and metaphors, we have identified them, talked about what we think they mean in a text, but now we're going to try our own writing with them. And when we can do something ourselves as a writer, it also helps us as a reader because we can understand. When we can do something, it's like we have a better understanding of what authors are trying to do when we see it in other texts. So, just a reminder that you've got these notes in your notebook, and we're working specifically with personification today, which is when non human things, so anything that's not a human, any object, any animal, anything that's not a human, is given human qualities or human actions. We did something similar with similes and metaphors. So, when we wanted to write with similes and metaphors, we kind of had a little system of thinking about our object, thinking about how we would describe it, and then we would think of something to compare it to. So, we're going to have a simple strategy that will be similar with personification. And it looks like this. You need to make this chart in your notebook. So, you could just go to the next page or after your bubble map and set up this chart. So on this side, it says non human object actions. This is a T chart. And then on this side, similar actions of a human. So pause the video, set up your chart, and then come back. Okay, what we mean by this, I wanted to use my green marker. Um, so I'm sitting in our guest bedroom downstairs and I'm looking out and there's a window of the guest bedroom, and right outside the window in our neighbor's backyard are trees. So I'm going to use a tree. So my non-human object are the trees. They're really big pine trees outside my window. So I'm looking straight ahead at them. What are some actions that I see these trees doing? So they're just standing. They're standing quite tall. So I'm going to record standing tall. Um, their branches are kind of swaying a little bit, not much. It's not really windy out today, so um, it's slight, but they are swaying a little bit. And then, and this is the day after Easter of our big snow. So, because it's kind of melting, snow is dropping. Okay, so I'm going to stick with those three. These are the actions that I see the object doing. Like, how is it moving? So now I'm going to go to the other side of the chart. And for each of these, I'm going to think of a similar action that a human would do. So if a human is standing tall, one of the first things that comes to my mind is soldiers, when they need to stand at attention. So I'm going to write that. Soldiers stand at attention. So kind of like attention. But then along with that, let's see, what's something that humans would do that's kind of swaying? First thing that comes to my mind is dancing. When humans are swaying, it might be because they're dancing or swinging, like in a hammock. And then snow dropping. Well, I think of you, third graders, and how you love to pick up that snow and toss it. So throwing snowballs. Okay, so now that I have some of the motions that I see the non human object doing, and now I have some human actions that a human would do. Now I can put these thoughts together into sentences or phrases. So Let's see, if I were to just take those first, standing tall. Now remember, I don't want to compare. Because I'm not writing a simile or a metaphor, so I don't want to say the trees were standing tall like soldiers at attention. I want to make the trees actually doing this. So the trees stood at attention on the hill overlooking their army. So notice I'm not comparing. I'm going to make the trees do the action. So it's kind of like now that I'm actually going to kind of cross this column out and I'm going to focus on this one. This column helped me think of the actions that humans do, but now I'm going to ignore because I don't want to compare. I want to say that the trees are now doing these things. Okay, so you might want to do the same thing too. This was for brainstorming, but now disregard this column and just focus here. So now I want to say that the branches danced a lovely waltz. That's a type of dance. And I think you spell it like waltz. I think it's spelled like that. The branches danced a lovely waltz um, to the music of the wind. Now, this is only 2 sentences. You're going to continue this and you'll come up with 3, or you could come up with a poem actually. But just to double check, personification is when non human things are given human qualities. The trees stood at attention. So the non human object is doing a human action. The branches danced. So the non human object is doing a human action. So remember, you've crossed off this brainstorming column and you're just focused here and put these thoughts into sentences. And then you're writing with personification, our target for today. So once you've completed that, share on that next slide, type in some of your sentences or a poem, and let's see it. Let's see your thoughts.